And now, the issues that matter. You're watching King 5 News Up Front.
Look like?
Now, even some Democrats say that Gregoire's cuts are just too deep, but is it possible that they're not deep enough? Joining us now is Paul Guppy of the Free Enterprise Washington Policy Center. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
To discuss government and money and how we spend all this stuff and how we get out of this hole. The governor announced this week some plans for reorganizing government, some new cuts, eliminating state boards and commissions, streamlining the operations of licensing centers, etc. Is that the right direction?
It is as far as it goes. So the governor is to be complimented for taking that initiative, and she has come up with some really good ideas, the boards and commissions streamlining, as you mentioned, and that will all help, and it moves state government in the right direction, being more customer friendly. But there aren't a lot of dollars there, and she realizes that. So it's a start in the right direction, but the state will have to do a lot more in order to get the deficit under control.
Now, your organization has made a range of suggestions. This right here, lots of pages. Let's start with some very broad salary freezes. State schools, Department of Corrections, many more agencies. What does that get us?
It gets us hundreds of millions of dollars in spending that doesn't need to occur in the future. So these are not cuts in current spending that we're proposing. We're proposing delaying or not doing increases in the next two-year budget cycle. And also, we responded to an invitation from the governor who said, give me suggestions about where we should slow down spending in the future, and that's where our list came from.
You also target children's health care coverage, that you'd like to tweak the formula that determines which kids get that coverage.
Right.
Is that sort of a hard sell, trying to say, well, we think fewer children who need health care should get it as a way of helping us out of a budget problem?
Well, that's a good point. And as an independent research think tank, that enables us to crunch the numbers and do the analysis, so we don't have to worry about the political side. You're right, talking about children's health care can be very sensitive in the political world. But the proposal we're making is, again, not expanding the program. In other words, we're not saying anything about cutting the current program. What the state is proposing to do is to increase children's health coverage from families with 250% of the poverty level up to 3 times the poverty level, which is approaching middle-income families.
And you're saying just keep it there at
just don't do the expansion. That's what we're saying, right?
Okay. Also, you're also targeting the fund, the pool of money that's been set aside for reducing class size in the state of Washington, and that's a big chunk. If you can find a way to limit that, what do we get?
We get $900 million that the state doesn't need to spend in the future. So again, this is not current money that's being cut. And regarding the child class sizes, what our research finds is that, contrary to common belief, the actual number of kids in the classroom is not the #1 indicator of improving education. It's actually the quality of the teacher and the training of the teacher. So we put our focus on improving the recruitment of teachers and the possibility of schools of hiring talented people to be in the classroom. And the research shows that the classroom size reduction actually isn't working as well as was expected. And I'm talking about states across the country that have done it.
An ongoing debate in the education world. When the next forecast comes out, the next revenue forecast, we could be looking at a $7 or $8 billion hole.
Right.
Can we really cut our way out of something like that?
Well, again, they're not cuts in current spending. So right now, revenues are expected to increase $1.4 billion in the next cycle. That revenue forecast will probably be reduced. As you say, the deficit will get much larger. So it's a matter of the state controlling the rate of spending growth first, and then possibly looking at other areas of potential revenue. We think that a tax increase is not necessary, but that debate is happening in the legislature, and that will be one of their options.
Right, we'll see what comes out of Olympia. Paul Guppy with the Washington Policy Center, thank you very much for joining us today. We appreciate it. We've clearly got a long way to go to balance this budget. Lots of discussion to come. One of Washington State